1 o'clock somewhere, I'm sure. So we'll bring our meeting to order today on November 19th, 2025. Welcome to those online and everyone here in the chambers. So rise as you are able and we'll sing O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Dobreen is going to read the land acknowledgement this morning.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sorry.
As we gather, we recognize and acknowledge the traditional keepers of this land with whom we share today. The Township of Southgate is a part of the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, Six Nations of the Grand River, the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, Haudenosaunee, and Saugeen Métis. The land that surrounds us is part of who we are as it reflects our histories. May we live in peace and friendship with all of its diverse people.
Thank you, Barb. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone registered for the open forum this morning?
None today.
Thank you. I need a confirmation of the agenda. It's going to Jason and Martin will move in second. Any discussion? All those in favor? That is carried. Is there any declaration of interest related to any item on today's agenda? Martin? Okay. All right. Thank you.
And the corresponding bylaw, which is 13.1.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Martin. Delegations and presentations. We have one this morning. We have Sarah West with us this morning. She's here to present on the backyard chicken issue, but I need a motion to receive for information. Jim, seconded by Monica. Sarah, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarah West. I live at 280. Sorry, I'm kind of nervous. I live at 280 Main Street West here in Dundalk. My husband and I and our children have lived here since 2019 when we purchased our first home. We have now purchased our second home here. The reason why I'm speaking to you here today is to discuss the bylaw that does not permit backyard chickens based on our zoning area, which is R2. We currently have 5 backyard chickens, all which are laying hens. My boys are age 7, 8, and 24. My middle son, Noah, who is 8, has ADHD, and he was diagnosed with ADHD in November of 2022. These chickens are very therapeutic for him and have helped him a lot, especially when we were reaching out to help with his diagnosis. Our healthcare system is so overwhelmed, and I have put him on a wait list after wait list, and we have still not received the help that he needs for his special needs. All of my boys help to take care of these backyard chickens and clean up after them. Each week their bedding is changed, and my kids take such pride in doing so. Our chickens and their care have been very educational to all of us. My boys get very excited every morning to go and collect the eggs. They have learned how to take care of the chickens and where eggs come from. I would like to point out the following. My chickens harm no one and cause minimal nuisance. My chickens are free range in our fenced-in backyard. They forage all day long, and that includes eating ticks, which can lead to Lyme disease, which can be fatal. They also eat mosquitoes, which carry malaria and Zika. They provide food for us. Free-range eggs are far more nutritious than store-bought eggs, which more than often come from caged chickens. Free-range eggs have 1/3 less cholesterol than store-bought eggs, which is imperative to my husband's health as he does have high cholesterol. The government speaks of Green New Deal and this Green New Deal that, sustainable development this and sustainable development that. This is the most economically friendly way for egg consumption. When you consider the eggs you buy in the store can be up to 6 months old and must be trucked in from farm to cold storage to grocery stores, and then consumers must commute to grocery stores and back, which produces far more carbon than our backyard chickens would ever produce. As for the excrement and the feather mess, the feces are biodegradable and can be used as compost as well as bedding, and the feathers get used by other birds to make nests. If there's any argument about the backyard waste and the feathers, what is the difference between the Mennonites' horses leaving feces in the middle of the street all over our town? I have also spoken to the neighbors on either side of us, including the ones that back onto our backyard, and they have all said they do not mind the chickens and they are not a bother at all. Overall, I am asking the Township of Southgate to consider changing the bylaw for backyard chickens within reason based on the positive effects, which I do believe outweigh the negative.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Any counselors have any questions for clarification? Okay, not seeing any. I will ask who is in favor of receiving. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much, Sarah. I appreciate your time to come and talk to us today.
Thank you.
We also have a delegation here. We have Stuart Reed from the Community Grey Bruce Foundation. And we have Carl Ellis, who sits on that board. He is actually the Southgate Community Fund Chair. I need a motion to receive this presentation. Barb, seconded by Monica. Welcome, Stuart. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Always a pleasure to have you here in Southgate. So the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Council, and for welcoming us. And I'm here once again to give you a little bit of an update today on Southgate Community Fund and our activities in 2025. And I thank Carl for attending with me. Carl's the chair of our Southgate Community Fund Advisory Committee. And I acknowledge the great support of Barbara Dobreen and Deputy Mayor on that committee as well. Today, I also acknowledge Carolyn Dyer and Heather Renton, who've also stepped forward as volunteers locally to help us with the administering and adjudicating related to the fund's activities. So our next slide. And as you know, Community Foundation Grey Bruce continues to grow year after year, and we're now managing more than 204 funds. And with very buoyant markets, I think we're going to tip over the $24 million mark this year in terms of total assets under management. And this year, I'm very proud to tell you that collectively, it's the first year that we're granting over $1 million just from our own coffers. We did have a couple of million plus years during the pandemic when we were a conduit for federal dollars, but this year we're granting $1 million from those that's been generated by those 204 Endow funds. And as you know, we've also been expanding our active community fund. So along with Southgate, we have active funds in Owen Sound, Meaford, Grey Highlands, Saugeen Shores, a new one in West Grey, Saugeen River Country Fund, and Town of Blue Mountains. So a great activity there. That's good. Next one, just in terms of our fund that we've been working on together, it was established in 2020. And at that time, the township made a promise of $30K a year for 5 years, which has been fulfilled. And we started granting small neighborhood grants that I'm going to talk about today in 2024. Advisory committee is now run by the Community Foundation. We had a little bit of a transit back to a community-based model, and that includes 4 community members who I've acknowledged. And our total fund balances are just over 160,000 presently. Here's a picture from an event we had in Dundalk earlier this year, an information session on small community funds, neighborhood small grants, I should say. And our 3 of our members are represented in the photo. You see Carl and Heather and Carolyn in there too. Next one. So I want to talk a little bit about small neighborhood grants. So this is a really progressive initiative. We adopted the model from our Community Foundation friends in in BC who've been running it for over 20 years. But it was a way for us to encourage more kind of belonging and inclusion and activity in Southgate neighborhoods. These grants are available to not organizations, but groups of individuals who want to come together to do something to better their community. And we offer $500 to support those grassroots initiatives. And I also thank the township for helping us find a way to grant to non-qualified donees by passing along the money to the recipients. And I'm just going to run through quickly the well, I should say, so they're grassroots grants, positive change. I mentioned that. Yeah, our goal is really to activate well, they're not organizations, but they're people who are organizing together that may one day turn into a fledgling charity or a not-for-profit. It's really getting acquaintanceship built into neighborhoods and celebrating the kind of neighborhood spirit that really is an important thing for a growing community like Southgate. And so I have prepared a slide about some of the grants. Some of them are from 2024, some are from 2025. And I won't read out all the information. I think you received these slides in your agenda package. So the Cowtown Lunch Brunch, wonderful initiative that was feeding a nutritious meal to seniors, and a great collaboration with the school next door, some theatrical offerings and coming together of an intergenerational celebration. So we were very proud of that one. The King Edward School, we supported their reunion. You can see that a great picture of that delicious looking cake. And in terms of the feedback, there were over 100 people in attendance from our former attendees at the school, and a great celebration of community belonging and cohesion. We also supported the Southgate Community Connection in 2024 with a $500 grant. And again, food related. It was bringing food tools and some supplies to local people who are coming together to feed and get meals out to those people that need it in the community, particularly seniors. We've also supported the Dundalk Southgate Pride Parade, and that was a great community coming together to celebrate LGBTQIA Pride. And we had some terrific feedback about a great coming together and amazing activities for families and the celebrants at that parade. And the Dundalk Santa Claus Parade are coming up. Has it happened or is it coming up? Coming up. We just had one in Owen Sound on Saturday. And I know that is a wonderful family event that brings together all sorts of people, celebrates local volunteerism, and the opening up of the giving season, which we celebrate as well at the Community Foundation. So we've supported that with a neighborhood small grant 24 and 25. And the Community First Housing in Southgate in 2025 received a neighborhood small grant. And that's a new initiative, kind of a coming together of citizens who are interested in supporting new affordable housing starts, kind of an offshoot of our work with the Institute of Southern Georgian Bay, instituting housing discussion tables at regions across the area. And we're really thrilled that they applied, and it's going to support them in some of their startup costs. We've also, of course, all the agencies in Southgate are eligible for community grants and capital grants. Community grants can be up to $5,000. We have 2 intakes, spring and fall, April, September. And we also have a capital grant program that runs through the summer, and they apply in September. Money rolls out in November. And really thrilled about the uptake in Southgate. The Friends of the Dundalk Library have received community grants in 24 and 25. We've been supporting this amazing literacy initiative that gives materials and technology for people to take home to encourage reading at home. And I just had a drive by this beautiful building, the Egremont Optimist Club. We did a bathroom renovation there in 2023. A terrific facility that's a real hub for community gatherings. And the Dundalk Agricultural Society, we supported the recladding of the building with a $15,000 capital grant too. So both great initiatives. And the Optimist Club, again, just this year received another over $8,000 to support tables that are an important part of community usage there. So replacing out-of-date equipment. And also the Dundalk Team Town Hall. got a community grant this spring to support the outdoor movie nights that happened in Dundalk over the summer months too. So some of these ones aren't associated directly with the Southgate Community Fund, but it comes from other funds we manage. But there are projects from Southgate that I wanted to draw your attention to. Also, the Canadian Centre for Rural Creativity got a $3,000 grant to support the Voice of the River celebrations, and that was happening here in Dundalk in 2025. So that's a lot of activity, and we're really proud of the way our grants are saturating communities right across Grey Bruce, Southgate being very prominent among them. Always, every year, we hold over $2 million in endowed education funds. So there's also scholarships, bursaries, and awards that are available to students to support them in their education pathway. And that opens up every spring. Next slide. So we do support scholarships that reward academic achievement, bursaries that recognize financial need, and awards that sometimes celebrate other aspects of achievement from in amongst students. And we also offer, next slide, I think is our Pay for School. We offer an online database which is searchable. It's accessible from our website, and students can plug in their school and their course of study, and it searches not only the opportunities available through Community Foundation Grey Bruce, but we've also loaded in scholarships from local high schools, the school boards, Bruce Power, for example. Some of the women's institutes have prizes. So anything we hear about, we make available in there. It's a great thing that's accessed by students across the area every spring. And we continue to build our scholarships. This year, we were really proud to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Walkerton tragedy. Not a celebration, but a recognition. And with that, coinciding with that, we were able to award another Walkerton Clean Water Legacy Award, supporting a student that's engaged with studies related to water management. And Chloe Rand's local student was the recipient this year. We were very proud to celebrate that. And scholarships pop up with community interest and initiation. A couple of years ago, we had one started in memory of Sharif Rahman, the store owner who was murdered in Owen Sound. And we've celebrated 2 years of granting to students who are either newcomers themselves or have a connection with newcomers in their family, and a really great, wonderful tribute to an amazing community volunteer. Something else I'm not sure if you know about is our activity with social impact investing. In 2019, the Community Foundation took 1% of our total assets under management out of the global stock market, and we're deploying them locally. So we're granting to local social enterprise, lending to charities. We've participated in community bond raises and other collaborations and partnerships. I think I've got a couple of slides just about some of the things we've been doing. We did buy some community bonds through Habitat for Humanity. So as an investment, the Community Foundation puts its money into those community bonds. It's available for housing starts, and then we do achieve a return on those bonds as well when they mature. We're also holding a mortgage presently for the Harmony Center Owen Sound, a very important social hub in that community that offers space for performance and artistic events and coming together. And we're really proud of that relationship. We're helping out a charity that might not be able to access that loan through a commercial bank. So we're able to adjust the rate as well based on community give back from that activity. And also social enterprise, I mentioned. So social enterprise can be for-profit or not-for-profit, but as part of their reason for being, there is some aspect of community give back. We have a loan out right now to support an e-bike sustainable transportation project to the meeting place in Tobermory. So those e-bikes are available to tourists and visitors. They also supply a couple of bikes to seasonal workers who have to get from their home to work every day as well. So another charitable give back aspect to that. And I've mentioned before, I think when I was here last time, I talked a little bit about Willpower, our collective effort to kind of raise awareness with Canadians about the impact that they can have with a gift to charity in their will, and how it benefits their community, and sometimes through tax advantage can be a real benefit to their heirs as well. So we have a page on the Willpower website. That's so you can visit willpower.ca to learn more. It's a great tool to have in your back pocket if you're talking to someone who might be interested in they're planning their estate and they might want to recognize Southgate or give to the community fund. And this is a great way to help them with tools in their planning and some information that they might be seeking out about what the Community Foundation does, how the Southgate Community Fund works. And just in closing, we, as I mentioned, have community grants coming up spring and fall. Our intake for neighborhood small grants through the community fund have been in the spring. But we encourage people to visit our website to see a little bit about the cycle of giving that's in place, and really want to see more applications coming from our friends in Southgate. And we also have a vital signs report coming up in 2026. I think you're going to be very interested in that. We're working through some of the data from Stats Canada since the pandemic, and some really interesting things emerging, like the predominance of diversity in Southgate, for example. It's estimated from the data, 20% of households have a language spoken at home other than English, which is really interesting. So we're seeing a lot of shifts and change that we're going to be describing and talking about in that vital signs report. I think there's an image coming up of the last one was 2016. So we're going to see quite a big difference in 8 years since that last publication, because this time we're also looking at indicators of community well-being right across the board. And for your information, all of our reports are available on the website. We did one on youth in 2018. There's some really still very relevant findings that are available to read. And the one on housing in 2023 are both available for download. And in closing, I give you a warm invitation to come join us for our Season of Giving event, which we're hosting at Grey Roots Museum and Archives on December 2nd, which actually is Giving Tuesday. So it's the Tuesday after Black Friday in the United States. So after everybody spends their money on Christmas shopping, we're kind of reminding them about giving back to community on the Tuesday following. So a wonderful day to kind of bring together our fund holders. And we're going to hear some grant testimonials of people that have received granting from us, and just talk about the impact of philanthropy on Grey Bruce that day. So, and I thank you for your kind attention. And if you have any questions about the community fund or anything I've spoken about, Carl and I are happy to answer.
Very good. Thank you, Stuart. Excellent presentation. Are there any questions from council? Not seeing. Oh, Martin, go ahead, please.
Yeah, Stuart, with the bursaries and scholarships, are you really directly involved, or you just take the recommendations of the groups that say, like the young woman who won the biology do you actively get involved and say, well, maybe not, or do you take recommendations from that?
That's a great.
And how many do you give out? Like,
we
college?
gave out over $80,000 just in this last go round. I think that there's over 40 scholarships that we manage ourselves. And it's a very good question. Sometimes the donors or the fund advisors like to be engaged in determining who receives, or they give the decision over to our grant review team. And we always work with a jury of people with experience from the community, former principals and educators, that help us make a determination of who's the most likely recipient for any of those awards.
Any other questions? Barb.
Thank you. And thank you for coming and updating us, Stuart. I really do enjoy being on the committee, and I wanted to acknowledge that Carl is great as our chair. I did have a question, and I don't know if we've actually touched base on this as a committee. The neighborhood small grants, I know, is a pilot, and it's, people are looking at it as potential for other funds. Did we decide, like, is there a time limit on how long we'll do those neighborhood small grants? I know the desire was to encourage these individuals to become more formal and perhaps enter into not-for-profit status, but at the end of the day, they may not.
Well, Thank you. It's a great question too. And I think that our conversations at the advisory committee would really inform that. As the fund grows year by year, we have more dollars to dispense. Those small $500 grants are kind of sometimes they're not taking up as much of the earnings that we have to disperse. So it might be something we let coast and see how we do over a number of years. We did have quite a robust response from community in the first year. This year was a little lower. So the third and fourth year will be telling us how we're doing. I do think it's a great instigator of the types of activities we want to see. And we know the community is growing very quickly. And some of those neighborhoods that we see popping up, I think that this kind of money is really building some wonderful episodes of inclusion and belonging that I think we all agree is a great thing to see. And is a great storytelling thing from my perspective, going out to communities to talk about what Southgate is doing, because I think it is inspiring for some of the other emerging community funds. Thank you.
Monica?
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and through you, Chair. Thank you so much, Mr. Reed. Just a reminder, if this was available to someone who doesn't have a nonprofit, I know I served on the committee as well, but I'm just trying to recollect. Is that right? So if it's like a resident that doesn't have necessarily organization, but they have a great idea, they can apply, right? I think-
Yeah, so not individuals, but groups of individuals, and they shouldn't be a organized not-for-profit, because then they'd be eligible for the community grant stream. So what you're describing, yes, we do encourage people, if they've got an idea, get a couple of neighbors together and put it in an application. We're grateful to receive.
Great, thank you.
Barb?
I think giving some examples of the, as you had shown, the Santa Claus Parade is a community run, couple of individuals. They're not organized. They don't have a board. There was also a block party that didn't happen, but and they paid that fund back. But that type of thing, the tree lighting would qualify. The downtown Dundalk trick or treat. There's so many organized events that individuals take on because they want to see the community come together. And I'm really thrilled that you brought the opportunity to us. And, like in many instances, Southgate, just tries things that are new.
Trailblazing.
Well, Stuart, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate your time, and you really are here for good.
We hope so. Thank
So,
you so
and
much.
thank you, Carl, for coming as well. Okay, moving along, did we call the vote on that? No, we did not. All those in favor of receiving for information, that is carried. Thank you very much. Adoption of the minutes. These are the minutes from the November 5th council and closed session meetings. Jason and Jim, any discussion? All those in favor? That is carried. Now we'll move into reports of municipal officers. We're going to start with building and bylaw services. We have a report here regarding Brad Wesley Holdings Incorporated, a request for a DC deferral. Someone care to move that motion, please? Martin, thank you. Seconded by Jim. Phil, welcome. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Through you, yeah, we got a request for the deferral for DCs for a commercial project for storage buildings at Eco Park on corner of Eco Park and Ida Street. The request was for a 2-year period. Staff's recommending the deferral be amended to 10 days prior to the issuance of occupancy to keep in line with the changes to Bill 17. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. He wants to build 2 buildings. One's for $18,520.70, and the other one is $56,164.40. This is one of 7 buildings that will be going up on this property. He's starting with these 2.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Questions from council? Comments? Barb?
Just one question, and my computer decided to update. But one of the things that I was wondering is, because it's a storage facility and each unit of those, if it's what I'm thinking of as the banks of storage units, how is occupancy deemed complete or anticipated, that 10-day from occupancy, if each individual unit could be occupied at any given point in time and may become occupied at different points in time.
Through the chair, the building is one whole building and they're just blocks in between. They're segmented. So the use can't be used or determined until they have the occupancy of that building. So none of the storage units in that block can be used until the occupancy of that entire strip.
Go ahead.
I think indirectly you just explained occupancy doesn't mean occupied. Occupancy is what you grant as a building official, that the building is complete and may be occupied. Thank you.
Yes, that's correct. The use of the building.
Okay, Martin, you had a question, and then Monica.
Yeah, that was one of my questions, I guess. But the other one, you wanted 2 years and you're saying 10 days before occupancy. So that's primarily for the construction timeline. It could be a year, it could be a year and a half, could be more than 2 years if he's slow, which he doesn't want to be, obviously, but.
Yeah, that's correct. It's just the 10 days prior to occupancy. It could take 3 years.
Yeah.
We just want to keep it in line with the Bill 17, 10 days prior to.
And Paul,
Yep, go ahead.
do you see a lot more of these coming through? Because that deferral for DC charges, I thought was just for residential, wasn't it?
Yeah, through the chair, the DC is just for residential, the deferral with Bill 17. But a municipality has the right to enter into a deferral agreement on industrial commercial.
Okay. Monica.
Thank you, Chair. Just through you, I think you may have answered it, but are there risks if occupancy becomes significantly delayed? Would there be any potential risks you could see?
Through the chair, it's all dependent on the contractor and when they want to use this building.
Just a quick note. So I think this is good because my understanding, this will keep the growth moving, but also protect township cash correctly? Like pretty much that's what this will do.
Yeah, like I said, he cannot occupy this building or use this building until that's the safeguard the municipality has.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Jason.
So I get what you mean by the 10 days prior, but I'm just wondering, like, how long does he have? Like, this could go on for 5 years. Like, to me, we should have something in there. We want to move this along as quick as we can. I get we got to go wait on the builders and everything, but it just seems pretty open-ended. I don't know. I'm not real keen on it, but it just seems so open-ended. It could take 5 years. And we're going to make an exemption every time somebody comes and asks that, basically, because this is for residential. So unless they ask.
So through the chair, this is for non-residential.
No.
Yeah. If
We're not
this
required by the bill to do that, are we, or did that what you just said?
Bill 17 only covers residential and rental. This is a deferral agreement entered with municipality. It's up to council to accept
Right,
that.
so we're not, yeah, okay, yeah.
And the build could take, let's say, 60 days to build, but the 10 days gives us a safeguard there that he has to pay the DCs 10 days prior.
Go ahead.
So what going forward if everybody that's building non or commercial wants a deferral? That's gonna put us into a bit of a pickle, isn't it?
Through your worship, at this point, for any residential development, those requests don't even come to council. They're automatic. So at this point, you're already into a circumstance where there may be some challenges in how we raise the DC revenue down the road. I will say that staff, recognizing Bill 17, have put in place processes that prevent the issuance of an occupancy permit before those DC funds are paid to insulate us from a level of risk. But the other thing to remember with the residential component is that they too don't have any limitation on the amount of time. And so we're aligning this with Bill 17 to keep it consistent if council grants an exception for non-residential DC deferral.
Madam Clerk, did you have something to add there?
I just wanted to add that they are on a case by case basis, though. Like Ken said, the residential's now automatic, but if he's made a submission, anyone else would have to make a submission if it's non-residential.
Okay. Oh, Jim, sorry. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, good people. Just to reiterate too, that this is stated in our DC bylaw that it can be an exemption that council can look at. And plus it does then refer to the DC Act where that is also stated. So it's not kind of out of the blue. It's an option for consideration.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Barb?
Thank you, through you. And just to clarify, you indicated that there is a plan for 7 of these storage complexes, and we're only deferring 2 at the present time. If and when those additional 5 were to be constructed or entertained, they would have to come back and we could determine whether we wanted to defer the DCs for those or any ongoing.
That's correct.
Monica?
Thank you, Chair. Just through you, quick question. Has a developer received previous deferrals or incentives?
Through the chair, I do not believe he has, no.
Certainly not with Southgate. Any other questions? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Ken. Moving on to emergency services. I see we have RJ online. He's going to be speaking to a fire report regarding a fire protection agreement with Melanchthon. Someone care to move that? Monica will move. Joan, do you want to second that? Yes, she will. Thank you, Joan. RJ, welcome. The floor is yours, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mayor. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Wonderful. So through you, the report pretty much just says that, so at the end of this year, our agreement with Melanchthon Township is expiring. So Chief Malnick and Mayor Milne went over and had discussions with Melanchthon Township Council about renewing. Pretty much everything's staying the same. We've asked for a little bit more money just to cover additional responses and the cost of everything increasing. So yeah, that's about the report in a nutshell.
Okay, and if you don't mind, RJ, I'll just add that when Chief Malnick were there, there's a week or more ago now, I guess, Melanchthon Council, quite rightly, at least in my mind, I'm biased, of course, but in my mind, they said a lot of very complimentary things about our fire service. They're very satisfied with the service they're getting. They're very happy to work with the senior leadership of the fire department. And in fact, one councillor asked a question, can we move the boundary to make it bigger for Southgate to cover? And the chief very graciously declined the invitation, but nonetheless, I wasn't surprised, but it was very gratifying to hear. So with all that said, are there any questions for RJ? I should say the deputy chief. Okay, not seeing any questions. I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, RJ.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Moving on to economic development, we have a report here regarding a CAP application for the Dundalk Village Pharmacy. Someone care to move that, please? Monica, seconded by Jim. Thank you. Brenna, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Milne. Thank you, Council. This is a report for to recommend approving Dundalk Village Pharmacy in the amount of $5,863 for repair to the interior of the building. Their old building located at 1 Main Street East. This would support the repair of walls, ceilings, floors, and other renovations. As you might know, this building has been vacant for 3 years, so we're hoping that these renovations will support the sale of the building to another business owner to start a viable business in there. And there's been interest from various medical services for this building.
Thank you, Brenna. Are there any questions regarding that report? Martin?
Afternoon, Brenna. I have no problem with this. I think it's great. You have to fix it up to sell it to get the business in. And I think getting medical or professionals, that's what's needed downtown. It's not a Dollarama or anything like, we need that kind of thing. But I was just looking at the picture and seeing what the contractor was doing. There's water stains on those tiles. Are there tenants upstairs? Because there's no tenants upstairs
No,
that you know of?
I'm sorry, I didn't include that in the report, but the entire building is for sale. So, and the upstairs is vacant.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so there's no one in the residential unit upstairs.
Okay. No, I just wanted, looking at those stains, they don't look very good. So just thought there'd be major work that's not there, but we're only giving them that amount anyway, right?
That's right. That's
Okay.
half the
Half.
cost of the quote that they've listed there.
Okay. Thank you, Brenna.
Thank you.
Joan, you have a question?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, through you. Good afternoon, everyone. Brenna, what business you said is going downstairs?
Through you, Mayor, at the moment, Councillor John, there's no business in line to go there. It's just the property is for sale and the current property owner has received inquiries from chiropractic and physio services, but he still hasn't had someone purchase the building yet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Jim?
Yeah, you know, we're all supportive in trying to get things moving and especially downtown Dundalk and getting areas in better shape and bringing those types of services in. The only thing that staff discussed as well is, you know, the building is up for sale. And if the next guy comes in and that's not what his idea is, that may be all for naught. So there is a risk involved and, you know, it's a balancing act, I guess, but I just wanted to clarify that with council. We've considered that in this regard as well.
Yep. Thank you, Jim. Jason, you had your hand up.
Well, I was just glad Jim made that point. That's what I was thinking. I'm all for it, helping the businesses, but maybe the next guy will let it fall down, the money going for nothing. It's kind of one of them things. I'm glad you mentioned that, Jim.
Well, it's hard to imagine that somebody would go to the trouble and expense of buying the building and not doing anything with it, but that could
Well, it
happen.
happens.
Yeah, it can't happen. It can't happen. Martin, you had a question?
Yeah, that was one of the first things when I looked at it about the selling of it after the fact. But if the other new owner comes for an application, we don't have to give it. So far better to have something move in, hopefully, Jason, and then go from there. But there is that risk, and I do thank Jim also for mentioning it.
Jason?
Well, just what about could we not grant it right now? And have it in, I don't know if you could put it in the purchasing agreement, but if the new owner, give it to the new owner, that's an incentive to buy it as well. Like, I'm just a little leery if we give it to them and then it just sits empty. So it was just a comment.
Yeah, well, it's a fair concern. Monica and Barb.
Thank you, Chair. So just through you, that was just to Councillor Rice's point. That was something I was just thinking if there was any concession or condition that can sometimes be included. So I'm not sure if that is there. And just a quick, I guess you can answer same time. Did we receive any other applications for that specific area as well for grants that you might be aware of?
Thanks for your question, and through you, I present the grants essentially as they're received. So this is the most recent completed one. I have another one in process and I have a consultation coming up, but it's just depending on who gets the grant in, the money is available on a first come, first served basis. And then also the application has to be complete. So I'm also making sure they have the correct drawing and information for us to be able to recommend approval of the grant.
Are conditions possible? Like what Councillor Rice was kind of mentioning?
Yes, it's possible to add a condition. We have added conditions related to planning and building before. Yeah, it's possible to make an addition.
Barb?
Thank you. And my question was about, we can either provide the grant to the current owner in order to help make it more attractive for the potential business that they are, what do you call it?
Seeking.
Wooing?
Seeking.
Seeking. And we can also wait and have a new owner apply for grant funding, and they could still leave it empty. So, yeah, we don't have any guarantee, but the one guarantee that we do have is that the money isn't paid out until the work is complete.
Thank you. Yes, that's correct. So we do have to have all receipts available, and typically we'll send a member of our team over just to inspect to ensure that has been completed. I would also say it has been a really difficult housing market. So this, if it can support another business going in there, would be beneficial. And there is still incentive for another owner. They can also apply for the grant as well. Remember, we're kind of tracking how much each building and business has received. So this one is relatively small in comparison to some other grants that we've given. So even if a new owner comes, we still are able to incentivize them to keep updating the building. And yeah, but obviously, as Jim stated, there are risks to this for sure.
Okay. Jim?
Yeah, just, we can add a condition in our CIP process approval, but we can't tie a condition to the building sale as we have no ownership or legal right to it. So, yeah, it's out of our hands in that regard of.
Yeah, I recognize the risk to the grant money. But I guess what I hear a lot about is, the derelict empty downtown. And we need to be doing something about it, we being Southgate. So, this is, we could view it as a sort of I've heard the phrase before, cost of doing business. If we can attract a business through this and help the owner attract a business through this grant, then the benefits to the township and the downtown specifically in the long run will be far exceeded by the amount that we're granting here. Although I do recognize that there is a risk here, but what in life, there was a risk driving here this afternoon too, especially when Phil was on the road. Sorry, did I say that out loud? No, I'm kidding. Phil was here ahead of me. Okay, any other questions? Not seeing any, I'll call. Do you have a question? Record vote? Absolutely you can. So I'll call the vote if there's no further questions. Madam Clerk, would you take the poll, please?
Through you, Mayor Milne, the recorded vote was called for staff report EDO 2025-019 CIP application for the Dundalk Village Pharmacy. Councillor John?
Yeah.
Councillor Rice?
No.
Councillor Singh Soares?
Yes.
Mayor Milne?
In favor.
Councillor Shipston?
Yes.
Councillor Ferguson?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dobreen?
In favor.
By a vote of 6-1, that's carried.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So moving on, Brenna has another report here, sorry, regarding an invitation to join Saugeen Connects. Someone care to move that, please? Monica will move, Jim will second. Brenna.
Thank you. So this is just for consideration to join Saugeen Connects. As the mayor mentioned, we have received a letter of invitation. So we're not recommending necessarily that this be put in the budget for next year, but for consideration in future years, just to raise council awareness of this opportunity. Saugeen Connects is an initiative kind of hosted by Saugeen Economic Development Corporation, which is a community futures partner within the region, and various municipalities. One of their very popular programs is the Student Startup Program. Essentially, they offer business training and startup support for youth wanting to start businesses. And I think this is especially relevant as it starts for youth from grade 6. So it's even earlier than the Starter Company Plus program. We've also seen traction by way of this first summer. We've had, one of our students participate in the summer company by running a book vending cart downtown Dundalk. And then we had another student who would have been in this age category as well, who participated in the Hawk's Nest training. So these programs are really beneficial. We do obviously have one of actually the youngest demographic for Grey County. So we really do want to encourage business ownership and entrepreneurship as a viable career option. And so that's why I'm presenting it today as a possibility for future budgets.
Okay, thank you, Brenna. So just to be clear, you're not asking for council to join, you're asking for council to consider joining through the 2027 budget deliberations.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Brenna, I read this and was kind of intrigued. You've always done research on the organization. When it said action to implement strategies to reduce vacancies to start businesses, would that include the little pop-ups? Because a little entrepreneur would do that. They might be in their home-based business, then say to you, can I have that? Or the owner. Is that included in that statement?
That's my understanding. Oh, for the
Or to implement strategies to reduce vacancies, even if they're only open twice a week and then somebody else moves in the next week.
for
At
sure.
least there's activity, right?
Yes, especially as we do see a high turnover rate with businesses. I was thinking especially having that training to ensure that businesses have a solid business plan, marketing plan, and just general knowledge of the market prior to starting a business. I think it could offer a lot of support. We do see a lot of home-based businesses as well, so they could get that support to see if owning a brick and mortar shop in one of our vacant buildings would be a viable option for them. And if they discover through the process that it's not a good idea, then it saves them time and investment as well. Yes.
Yep, go ahead.
And the other one, grade 6 to 12, I think that's great because being an entrepreneur these days is something that's happening. What do they call it? The gig economy now, if I'm correct. So starting them young, they have to get into that. And that's co-ed, I'm assuming.
COVID?
Yeah, co-ed.
Oh, co-ed, yes.
Yeah, 6-12. Did I say COVID?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
Apologies.
there'd be no point of this if that was here again. So then on your report, it says it supports female entrepreneurs. So why is that dichotomy there when it's co-ed up to 12? Do the males go off into their own field like apprentices, leaving it just for the ladies? Like, I think it's great. I'm just wondering why it was specific.
My apologies. I was highlighting just one of the programs. That's the youth specific program. Then they have a program specific to women. And then they also have a program for training for local employers with specialized training, especially for manufacturers, which would be relevant. So I should have phrased that correctly. Those are 3 different programs. So the one for youth is co-ed. I think the target market for the women program is obviously a lot of women might be, coming out of carrying responsibilities, those kinds of things and wanting to start a business. So I think it's supporting that group of people. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
any other questions? Not seeing any, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Brenna. Moving on to the planning department, we have a couple of reports here. First one is regarding Bill 60, and Ken would like to make some further comments for submission to the province. You're just piling them up here. Someone care to move that, please? Barb, seconded by Jason. Ken, welcome.
Thank you, your worship, and pardon me. Good afternoon, council. Yes, this is in response to a couple more EROs. As you'll recall, at the last meeting, we had one report that outlined how many ERO submissions were open. I lost count at 7. I think it's grown since, but this is specifically to submit for 2 that are related to building training centers and then enhanced development standards. But I will say that in my haste to prepare this report, I didn't realize that one of the dates actually has already passed. So I did take the initiative to submit the draft comments we had so that we at least were able to get some comments in, because it appears that some of the dates are now starting to change. So, but as I've included in the report, we do have some concerns. And this is what was included in the comments we already submitted for training centers. The idea that these would be exempted from site planning doesn't allow us to even review how a potential training center, whether that's inside a building or a brand new building, would then fit into the context of our community and how it would integrate with the community. One of the main concerns that the province actually wrote in the ERO is that municipal planning rules cause delay or result in delays, and that's a direct quote. And so part of the comments that I suggested for submission, which I did submit, was the province has now changed the Planning Act to delegate site planning to staff. This council has delegated the agreements to staff, and the province has a 60-day turnaround. I'm not sure how it could get any faster other than to exempt them, which then creates a whole bunch of other issues. And so the suggestion that I posed was, well, then why not just make it an automatic approval on day 61 with a subject to an agreement? So if a municipality wasn't able to get to a point of rendering a decision by day 61, it's approved subject to entering into a development agreement for servicing and connections. And so those are the comments that were submitted. In terms of the issue related to enhanced development standards, this is really getting to some of the core things that municipalities regulate when any type of development happens. And when we say enhanced development standards, the easiest way to look at this is it's anything that's outside of the building. So you think about where we're sitting, you've got parking, landscaping, how the parking connects to the road, how do you connect the services? There could be other things like, do we get into low impact development because the water table happens to be higher here, but perhaps in our neighboring community it's lower? Other things like, what parking rates do you set? We don't benefit from subways, high order transit, frequent transit, or transit in general. So why then set standards that might not be workable in rural communities or communities that haven't yet developed out to a level where transit is really applicable? It really just sets some municipalities up to have a lot of problems down the road if there's no differentiation between urban, rural, ex-urban. And it also doesn't recognize that some communities like Southgate have a higher level of our horse and buggy community, and they have special off-site needs like horse and buggy parking and things like that, which really doesn't get into, like, there doesn't seem to be any thought process towards that in the ERO whatsoever. So, and more importantly, there's this idea that's been conveyed from the province about prohibition of standards. And these are things that are regulated for site planning across the country. And they're things that contribute to how a building or a use or a function integrates within our community. It's not just, do you provide a landscaping strip and how big of a tree and what kind of tree? We don't actually get into the nitty gritty of what kind of tree. Some municipalities do. But it really begs the question of, are we even doing site planning anymore to make sure that these buildings then integrate to our services properly or into our communities? So I'll leave it at that. I've provided a draft of comments and I'm happy to take your feedback. So we have time to submit. I did note once again, because this has been coming up a lot, and it's related to the Bill 60 changes to the Landlord and Tenancy Board and as council may have heard, the city of Toronto has officially opposed Bill 60. Now the city of Hamilton has officially opposed that. I would flag that they are, because they're single tier, they have a responsibility to provide housing. That really doesn't fall within our jurisdiction. It's more of the county, but there has been talk that the province has walked away from some changes related to ending what the province calls the lifelong tenancy lease, where, you know, if you enter into a year lease and then it reverts to month, you're basically there forever, or until the tenant decides to move out, and changes towards rent control. But we don't actually know if that has actually occurred. So I have flagged that if council wishes to have us submit any sort of comments related to those aspects of the EROs that are open, we would need some direction as to what that would be. But we have not provided any suggested feedback. And I will just note that there is now a new bill, 68, related to the transition of the conservation authorities to a whole new system. And just a preview of coming attractions. And I do plan to bring a report to council. Wanted to wait for the county planning staff had an event with all of the county planners last week. And then Victoria and I will be attending the MMAH Planners Forum, but we still don't have an agenda of what's being provided. So my concern is we may not be covering that issue. So stay tuned. And
Very good.
I'm happy to take your questions.
Very good. Thank you, Ken. Are there any questions? Barb?
Not so much a question, because your report is very thorough, and we've had the conversation before, and we've had the conversation at the county about painting rural Ontario with the same brush as our urban counterparts. And the fact that our geography and our environment is uniquely different, and it calls for different solutions. So I know that you had made notes of that, Ken, and they did at the county, that, you know, one size does not fit all. And we've lost sight of the rural sight and lens, on purpose. But we used to talk about back, 10 years ago, they just take a rural lens on our planning and our development, and that seems to have been lost on the province. The one thing about, the amount of time that you're spending analyzing all of these changes that keep coming down the pipe, we could probably expedite a lot of planning decisions if you had the time that you weren't spending here. The one thing that because part of this also talks about our transportation network, like road construction, and the thought that they may be, and this may be a different bill. So I maybe not Bill 60, it might be Bill 673. The one that includes the transportation, where they want to dictate how we build our roads, that it would be a standard across the province. That's kind of where I'm going with our geography and our environmental uniqueness, because as you say, Ken, some of us are, high water level and have a different need for drainage, and we have to tailor our road construction to meet those environmental impacts. They're just not the same as Toronto. So if you can incorporate that theme of the one size does not fit all, and the rural geography and environment has to be permitted to take a lens so that we can prevent flooding and all of those other things. And I'll look forward to the conversation about the conservation authorities. I know that they're going to be meeting with the CAOs once the Conservation Ontario, and that's another subject, that's another bill. But yeah, thank you. So again, not really a question, but yeah, takeaway.
If I may, Your
Please.
Worship,
Yep.
through you, Bill 60 does actually include if you look at slide 17 from the slide deck that I provided, or that the ministry has provided, which was attached to the report last week, but I've also hyperlinked into this one. It's on slide 17. So there's this idea of engaging municipalities on looking at harmonizing those standards. So I will include something in our comments, but I gather from the slide deck that there will be further engagement. So I will leave that to our folks in Public Works and Triton to kind of represent our interests on that.
I knew I'd seen it somewhere.
Martin, you had a question?
Yeah, comment first. Oh, thank you, Ken, as always, for your report. I read the attachments you put in there. And when I was reading it, I had to, my wife probably saw a smirk on my face because many times Ford's been talking about legislative creep from the federals. This is legislative creep to third tier, as far as I'm concerned. And the common denominator of your two attachments is, like you stated, there's a definite distinct lack of local recognition of planning for the township. And then you said that, and Barb has just mentioned, we're all different. Like my water table is different than over here. And if they are painting us with the same brush, then that's just not, it's just not right. So I do thank you for your comments on that. You mentioned the Tenant Act and the changes there. Can anybody, like any group, put comments into the minutes? Because I know that you said it could affect us in Southgate as far as long-term leases. Could the local Southgate Housing Committee put their own thoughts in on this if they read it?
Through your worship, anyone can register through the environmental registry to submit comments, whether
Okay.
they're a
That's what I
community
thought.
group, an individual representing a municipality, what have you. And if I may, just to go back to your first comment, I always go back to the planner's axiom that we look at every application on its own merits. And that's why it's really important for us to look at, you know, when we talk about context, we're talking about context on a variety of different situations. It could be the context with the adjacent neighbors, the context within the block, the context within the neighborhood, within the entire Southgate community as a municipality. So context has a variety of different meanings and is at various levels of altitude, from right on the site, kind of more into interconnection with everything else.
Thank you.
Joan, you had a question? Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a question. I have a comment. Thank you, Ken, for the report. As usual, you give us a lot of, you certainly make sure that you give us homework to do, because I'm reading and I'm like, Ken, are you gonna stop somewhere? But thank you. I know I've paid very little attention to Bill 60, but I've been following up with the landlord and tenants part of it, because sometimes I have to deal with termination and evictions and stuff like that. And a lot of it is more like implied agreement, and I guess they want to tighten it up. So it's really good that we can get such lengthy information, and that we lengthy in a concise way and a very layman term. So thank you very much for doing that. It kind of shortened the other part that I had to read. Great job.
Lengthen in concise terms. I'm not sure what that means, but I think I do. Okay.
If I may, I'll
Yeah.
just say that it's not me that's making the work. I would say it's the province.
True enough. True enough. Very good. All right. If there's no further comments, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. We'll do the second planning report here on servicing an agreement for 191 Hagan Street, and then we'll take a quick recess after that. Ken, is this your report? Go ahead, please. Oh, I need a mover and seconder. Sorry. Jim and Martin. Ken.
Thank you, your worship. Attached, so the report before you is a servicing agreement related to a development on Hagan Street to facilitate the construction of semi-detached buildings. This basically sets up how the development will contribute to the extension of the street in connection to municipal services. And attached to the report via a bylaw is the mechanism to actually execute that agreement with the the landowner. We know that there's an adjacent site. The two developers are supposed to be working together. This is part of some of the pieces to that interconnection. Online today, just to help if there's any specific questions, Dustin from Triton is here, and I'll leave it at that. Happy to take your questions. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Ken, and welcome, Dustin. Are there any questions from council? Martin?
Yeah, Ken, I was just wondering, in the analysis, page 2 of your report, number 5 is 10 years cost recovery opportunity of other landowners access improved road. The maximum amount for cost recovery will be 28,000 and change. How does that work? What's that mechanism? Kind of through.
Your worship, maybe I'll ask Dustin to kind of jump in because some of this does predate my time with the municipality.
Absolutely. Dustin, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir, we can.
Very good. So the intention there is there are lots that are beyond this proponent's property that will benefit from the extension of the services. And so when those lots come forward with a site plan application, at that time, the township would ask or would require that that developer of those future lots contribute those costs, and those costs will be reimbursed to the current proponent. We've set a sunset clause of 10 years because anything beyond that would be sort of unreasonable for us to try and collect on. I hope that answers the question.
Yep, it appears like it does, or it has. Thank you.
Through
Thank you,
your
Dustin.
worship, if
Any other questions?
sorry.
Ken,
If I
sorry.
could just clarify, because these are rather low density developments, there won't be site plan applications. We'll deal with the collection of any of those monies through building permit stage.
Okay, very good. Barb has a question. Go ahead, Barb.
Thank you. And we weren't sure about the answer when I asked you earlier, Ken. The plan for Golden Hagen was always to have a service loop to connect Golden Hagen. And when this double lot for semis was approved, the services only went to one of those two lots. So the concept is that the two developers, the ones for the future lots and this one, would benefit from working together. So I see that the clause allows for the current developer to be compensated partially for bringing it to a certain point. And maybe this is for our public works manager or our CAO, will this advance our long plan to connect Golden Hagen as a loop for snow removal, traffic flow, school parking flow, those types of things?
Jim wants to take a run at that. Jim?
Yeah, so for this piece, it only involves Gold Street and extending the services, and it's very minimal. I can't recall if it's 20 or
20
40 meters
20
or
meters.
something. It's very minimal to get past his lots to service them. But what's been identified after that point are a couple lots to the west on the north side that have opportunity, and the possibility there is something as well on Hagen that could be developed in the future as well. But as far as the looping, we're still hoping that will someday come to fruition. But an inquiry with we'd have to purchase some property, and I put that inquiry out, and at this point in time the owner is not interested, so we may have to take another route if we wish to proceed with that. But this is just a small step in getting these lots developed, and the bigger picture hopefully to come in the near future.
Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions? Not seeing any. I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. It is now, I'm going to say 2:15. I'll be reconvene in 10 minutes. 2:25. We are in recess. You ready to bring the meeting back to order here? We have a report here from the Finance Department regarding the Team Town Hall grant application and partnership request. Someone care to move that, please? Jim and Barb will second. Kayla, welcome.
Thank you. This report is a result of Team Town Hall's presentation that they provided us last meeting. Staff went ahead and researched some of the Legacy Fund grant requirements and provided the information in this report. So we did receive a letter from Team Town Hall yesterday advising us that they have decided to not apply for this Legacy grant at this time. Sorry, I lost my place. It's always a possibility for them to apply in the future. With that in mind, I would still like to discuss just grants in general and what it means for the township to be an applicant. For this specific grant and for many other grants, if the township were to act as the applicant, it means that the municipality takes on the financial liability and risk. So some of those examples are provided in that report. And in general, it means that if the funds were provided up front, they're spent on the project, and then those project objectives were not met, those funds need to be paid back. And it's on the municipality to pay them back and then go to the community group to ensure that we're reimbursed. And I just wanted to highlight that as a risk. We're not saying it's going to happen. We're not saying we shouldn't go through with grants because of that process, but we do want to highlight that there is a risk there. So staff are just suggesting that we take a look at requirements and process when these types of requests come along. Some of the ways we could mitigate risks include having financial plans and project detailed plans provided ahead of being the applicant, as well as an MOU. Lastly, the Team Town Hall is still requesting that we have, that the township provide a support letter. Staff don't have an issue with providing a letter of support. We do find sometimes with grants, it is stronger if the letter of support is directed towards that specific project and towards that specific grant. However, if we did want to just have a support letter that says, like, we support the restoration project for the Dundalk Old Town Hall and highlight some of the advantages to our community and our downtown, that's also an option, but sometimes they may want to come back with a more directed letter of support request.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you, Kayla. Any questions, comments? Barb?
Thank you. So, yep, we've got that letter and it's probably wise that we're not rush into all of this and then miss a deadline. So when you said, through you to Kayla, when you said that the funds are provided upfront, therefore we as the applicant receive the funds, we transfer it to Team Town Hall, they have their work. If the work isn't completed, then the entire fund has to be refunded, or the funds that the balance of the work that hasn't been completed and the fund. That I understand the dilemma in that we can't just, okay, you reach this milestone, you're refunded this much money. And then in this, and like, that's if they get let's say they get $200,000 and we have it in quarterly installments. That isn't permitted. It has to flow completely to Team Town Hall. I'm just thinking through that MOU process and being the applicant and the risk involved. If you have an answer to the funding, the refunding of the grant, if the work is not completed, that would be my first step.
Kayla?
Yes, through you. So it really depends on the grant. We've run into grants as a municipality where we have had to pay some funds back, just depending on certain circumstances. Usually it's because we didn't spend them though. Yeah, so it depends what it is. It's also how they word it in their agreements is that you're meeting the objectives. So it depends if the expenditures were eligible expenditures or not. And that plays a factor as well. Usually they're fairly strict on what are eligible and what are ineligible. So if those funds were spent on ineligible items, then you'd have to pay them back. And as far as the installments, again, it depends on the grant. Some will give you X amount up front, and then you have to do reports and you get milestone reports, and you'll get that money at that time. Some of them you don't. It all depends on the funding organization and how they've laid it out.
Thank you, Kayla. Barb, you have another? Go ahead.
Thank you. And I appreciate that it requires staff time. I also appreciate that the fact that we're not moving toward a 2-week deadline helps to spread the burden out a little bit more. I certainly don't, I agree with you, Kayla, that in order to mitigate the risk, having that memorandum of understanding going forward, that might be a template that we could tailor to a specific grant, and a generic letter of support initially that outlines how we got here. I think includes that, in good faith, we sold them the building for, $1,000, and we see the potential as a downtown revitalization attraction facility, as a community hub. So I would be supportive of us moving in that direction. And would it be possible to take the time to evaluate what an MOU might look like so that we could finalize it, have those things, tweaked at the very end, legal review and all of those things once we get to that timeline? I'm just wondering what kind of time constraints that would entail. I know that we're in the middle of an audit ourselves, and the holidays are approaching, and we have a budget a mayor's budget to finalize. But this buys us some time to do it in a more relaxed, friendly way, not pressured. Thoughts?
Yeah, it is a possibility that we could put together a template. I don't know how strict of a timeline we would want to put on it because we don't have a deadline at this point. We have a lot on the go, but I think staff could probably put it on their list of things to look into. And I don't know if we want to make that a more formal template that we bring back to council.
Yep, go ahead.
Could we agree that we would continue the conversation toward an MOU with Team Town Hall, between staff and Team Town Hall, continue the work without a pressured timeline, and to provide that generic letter of support that outlines how we got here?
I think my only concern with doing that with Team Town Hall, if they do not require us to be the applicant for a grant, then we've essentially wasted our time.
I'm thinking go ahead, Jim. Well, I was just gonna say, I think it would only be fair to staff and to Team Town Hall as well, is to not expend a lot of time on an MOU, because depending on the funding body, they may ask for different things, right? Like an MOU, there's templates available in a variety of places that we can access to tailor it to whatever the funding organization requires, if anything. And so anyway, those are my own thoughts, but Jim, what are you thinking?
Well, just going back to some of the comments, around Bill 60 and stuff, rural and urban, the planning directives, like it's focused, right? So just doing a cookie cutter may not cut it. But, you know, we could definitely be dabbling a little bit towards it but everyone would be a case by case as talked about before, that it wouldn't just necessarily be a generic template as per se. It could be a lot of the body is somewhat generic, but there'll be the details within for sure.
Yep. Joan, you have a question, comment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to point out something about what Kayla said about the grants. For most grants, yes, they pay you for what you are eligible for, what you put in your granting application. In your budget and in your forms, you have to specify what you're using for what, $10 for the food, $20 for this, that, whatever. What is not used, if when they checked, if it's not completed or stuff, you pay back. You will have to pay back what you didn't use for that specific thing, or if the entire project was not completed, then they will go into parts and particles and pick out what you didn't do and what you did, and request for some of that funding to come back to them. For the letter of support, if we're going to, sorry, do a letter of support, it would be best to do it specific towards the project that someone is applying for. Some grantors will take a generic letter of support, but some will prefer that you put to that specific grant that they're applying for, so they will know that this letter of support really comes at this time, at that time, but not just a broad letter of support that we support them all the time because this is what they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. I would agree with Joan. I think a letter of support specific to whatever is being requested would probably have a lot more impact. I think, speaking for council, I think we've demonstrated that we are supportive of the broad general project. Absolutely, we are, of the impacts it's gonna, the improved impacts it's gonna have on the downtown and our municipality as a whole, and indeed our neighboring municipalities as well. So I think we've demonstrated that. Any other thoughts, Martin?
Well, I think the fact that's like what Ken said, with planning, you know, that it's, and Lindsay said it, case by case by case. So depending on the grant and what they want, from years getting funds for soccer all those years ago, the more specific and the more detailed you were in what you wanted meant that you were probably going to get it instead of just giving them anything. So I think if we can look at that and give them that support when it comes up, I think that would be the best.
Okay. Joan, do you still have your hand up, or you have something more? No? Okay. Barb, go ahead.
So I believe that we're supportive of providing a letter of support and that it would be tailored to the need. If we don't give you direction today, does that mean you have to come back to us to get permission to give a letter of support? Or can we provide our direction now that we will provide a letter of support tailored to the needs of the grant or tailored to the specific criteria of the grant? We only meet every 2 weeks, and sometimes there's 3 weeks in between, and we all know what government grants timelines sometimes are. And I would hate to find us again in a situation where we have, 5 weeks and we meet once and we give you direction, and then, there's more information, and now we're down to crunch time again. How can we show our support now to give staff some flexibility, and Team Town Hall as well, in knowing that there will be a letter of support?
Lindsay, Madam Clerk.
Through you, Mayor Milne, we can amend the second clause that that council supports staff in providing letters of support to Team Town Hall specific to grants and funding they may be applying for in the future. Yeah, you comment on that?
Kayla?
If we could just have it a little bit more specific as to like the restoration of Dundalk Old Town Hall or something along those lines, just, you know, if it's an event or just to make sure that we're all on the same page, what exactly council is supporting.
Yep. Barb, you okay with that?
Yes, and I would move that. So that replaces the second clause,
Correct.
because we're not going specifically to the legacy fund, and it gives some reassurance that it's with regard to the restoration of the Old Town Hall.
Madam Clerk, do you have some verbiage there or is it on the screen? I haven't.
No, it's not on the screen. I've just added that, so that council supports staff in providing letters of support to Team Town Hall for the Dundalk Old Town Hall restoration efforts for specific grants and funding they may be applying for in the future.
Okay. Somebody second that amendment? Martin, thank you. Any further discussion on the amendment? Call the question. All those in favor of the amendment? That is carried. Now we're back to the main motion as amended. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Jim. Pretty everybody had to go with that one. Moving on to legislative services, the clerk's department, we have a report here regarding the Love Shirk Drainage Works levying bylaw. Someone care to?
I have a
Martin?
declaration of interest.
Okay, thank you. Martin recuses himself because he has a interest. Jim will move. Monica will second. Madam Clerk?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Milne. I'm not a drainage engineer, remember that. So I guess I should have had Tom come today, but this one's pretty straightforward. The Love Shirk drain, I tried to provide all the background in the report of all the steps we've taken so far. So now we are at the last step here and we need to provide the levying bylaw so we can invoice out those costs, and the work is completed. I don't know if John has anything to add about that, about the work, but yeah, this is basically our last step. Doesn't look
Really,
like you
John?
have anything.
Surely you got something to say. Come on.
Through you. No, the work went through fairly quickly and simply, and it's all done, and it's just effort to levy out the money to get money back for it.
All right, very good. Any questions from council? Did I get a mover and seconder? I think I did. Yes, I did. Any questions? No questions? I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. So we have a report here from the CAO regarding Southgate legal representation update. Someone care to move that, please? Jim, seconded by Monica. Thank you. Jim?
Yeah, we wanted to bring this report forward to council, excuse me, and identify which law firms and their expertise they provide for Southgate services. And we would like to also add into the mix Fisher Law from Walkerton to provide some building bylaw and fire expertise in certain areas. Our current lawyer, a legal firm from Williams, James and Associates, has been working for us. And on occasion, we've asked for some cost recovery and they've kind of challenged us a little bit about that. And maybe there was some reason why or whatever, but we're finding out through staff that there's quite a bit of pushback sometimes on our part. So we would like an option to try someone else in those fields specifically.
Okay. Any questions from council? Martin?
Yeah, so Jim, I was going to ask about, you know, if it was just hiring another company to, when the one company's too busy, there would be a backup. But you just mentioned the William James, there's been pushback. If you got the Fisher Law on a retainer, would you stop using William James then and take him off, or just use him as a backup? Because you have two doing real estates too, so I just wondered if there was that sharing of workload.
Yeah, well, we had went to a law firm previous ago for some of this detail, and unfortunately, that solicitor passed away, and then we reverted back to where we are today. And just with some of those newer dealings and passing over cases that were on the go at that point in time, there seemed to be a difference of opinions between the direction we were heading at the time and then what we were being told. So I did some research with the county CAOs and firms they were using, and that's where we came up with Fisher Law. And we'll still keep them on the back burner maybe, but we would just want to explore maybe in some higher leverage pursuits or whatever, that some option to maybe try it out and see if how the results go with going that route.
Very good. Any other questions? Okay, call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Jim. So we have two notices of motion here this afternoon. The first one is from Deputy Mayor DeBreen. Notice of motion regarding electronic participation policy. So the notice of motion is there. Barb, will you be moving that?
I would, thank you.
Okay. I need a seconder before we go any further. Martin, are you seconding? Okay. Barb, you want to speak to it?
Thank you. And through you, this just kind of tags on to our requirement to, set how we're going to do elections, and the compensation policy is under review for council. This council sets the remuneration for the next council, and that, certain policies, we should ensure that they're still applicable, and that they are effective, that they're functioning the way we intended, and that they're effective, so that we have a policy in place going forward that allows us to continue with our electronic participation under whatever circumstances that entails. I'm not. The policy will come back, staff will do a review, they'll compare it to other municipalities and see how it compares, and then we can set the policy for the future.
Thank you. Any discussion, questions? Monica.
Thank you, Chair. Just through you, I believe who can help to answer. I'm just wondering, is a policy review for electronic participation normally done at the beginning of every council term?
Clerk.
Through you, Mayor Milne. So this policy was initially approved back in 2020 following the pandemic. And then we did amend it there was some amendments to the Municipal Act. I'm trying to recall it all during this term of council. The review, the policy does say the review would actually be done following the first year of implementation. During that first year, there was those changes. So the last time it was reviewed was in 2022. So there's nothing specific in the policy that it's reviewed for each term of council, but that's certainly something that we can add when we do this review, should this pass. But I think it's good practice to review policies as needed, or they do become outdated, but it's not specific in the policy. No.
I'll just follow up.
Yep.
Was there anything like specific that with regards to having a review right now for electronic policy that is calling for a review that you're aware of, or Deputy Mayor?
I would direct that to the Deputy Mayor, I think.
Barb.
For her notice. Yeah.
I can respond to that. There have been instances where we're not following our policy. We've had the discussion from time to time. I believe it was another member of council that suggested that we limit the number of meetings that we can participate. I'm not suggesting that I would be supportive of that, because circumstances change for individuals, and you get sick, you break a leg, you might not be able to make it. But that perhaps a review of the policy to remind us and to the individuals that may run in the upcoming election understand what the expectation is with regard to hybrid participation.
Oh, got another, go ahead.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for that, Deputy Mayor. Just another question with regards to your notice of motion when it talks about something that would have to look like is active participation. Sorry, I'm just looking at it right at first here. Logged in. I forget where I saw that. Is it on this page or is it on the electronic? Basically it's something along the lines of when someone's on electronic that they have to appear or look like they're an active participating. Just wanted to get clarification for that.
I think that was the 1, 2, 3, 4th,
Is that fourth?
whereas.
Yep. The policy actually states we're supposed to have our camera on.
Oh, okay. So it's regarding having cameras on. Oh.
Okay, any other questions? Jason?
So to that one, like a public planning meeting where we're not required to be here. I mean, I know I've done that, listened to it, but I'm not participating. So how does, yeah, I get it. I mean, if you're participating, you should have your camera on, but I've done that in a couple of meetings. I couldn't make it, but I still listened in. So I'm still a council member, but I'm just listening in and not participating. How does that, how would that pertain?
I guess it would depend on whether you charged for the meeting.
Never.
So exactly. So if you're just listening in to understand what the debate was, but that's why we're bringing the policy back so that we can have those great discussions about what it means to be, can we participate? And since they have now through the calendar changed our public planning meetings and committee of adjustment meetings to complete virtual, and that we've been informed that we were doing it wrong and that public planning meetings requires a quorum of council. The mayor and I were driving to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities conference. I was driving, so I could listen, but I wasn't participating because I was driving. So he was the person who was in to count as quorum, but I was not. I could listen in, and I absolutely agree with you. And certainly in the policy, it also speaks to if technical difficulties occur, then it's a decision of council or the mayor or the clerk to allow it. But I agree with you that, there's opportunities where I don't have to be in a meeting, but I can listen in and understand the questions and the presentations so that when it does come back to us, we're more informed. So I absolutely agree with you. This is just a matter so that we can direct staff to bring it back. They'll look at what other municipalities are doing and bring back any recommendations. And maybe the policy stands as it is, but it gives us an opportunity to have those conversations.
Monica?
Thank you, Chair. So just through you, just with regards to policy to you, clerk or whoever can answer, if we were taking a look at this policy, I think it's 86, if I'm not mistaken, it's covering council members, but also committee of adjustment, people of the public and staff. So just to get a better idea, because I know that it says like, logging in 15 minutes beforehand, making sure your camera is on. If you have to give 2 days notice, otherwise 2 hours, I think is minimum. If I could be wrong on some of these, but I think that's from my memory. And also to review for the whole year, the days that you're planning, that that you'll be electronic, like all these type of things. So with this now, just for an example, like we had a staff member online earlier, would they need to keep their camera on the whole time too? And like, is this what we're looking to do, or is it just kind of more about the staff? I mean, council.
I would suggest. I would suggest that the notice of motion here, and I don't want to speak for the mover, but the notice of motion is to bring all that discussion back after a review by staff and see if there's any recommendations from the staff level. And then we can decide, do we want to change? Do we want to stay the same? That's where we need to have those conversations. I think.
Yes, it's just that just wondering what's their accelerated interest in doing it right now, the timing and optics wise, because we're about 10 months or so away from the next election. New council term is coming in, and based on what changes might be at that time for that council, then they might have to do another review. So that's only where I'm just kind of wondering where this is coming up. There's a chronic quorum issue. Is there something very pressing? Because I know staff time is so stretched. And so that's the only reason I was just wondering why now.
I think it's a fair observation to make that we want to make sure the policy is working for this council. And as you mentioned, there's an upcoming election next year. People that are thinking about running, they know very clearly what the expectations are, depending on their situation, right?
And thank you, Chair. And just with all due respect, I know that when we started in 2022, we had a different schedule and that was also changed very short period of time. So even sometimes coming into council, I really respect what you're saying. Like, I think we can only know so much at the time, but things, again, for sure could change.
Yep.
Then I just want to really make sure that we are keeping things equitable, accessible. We're making sure that we are going to have people from different backgrounds, diverse parents, older people, younger people, everyone to want to run, to want to be on this council, and ensuring that it doesn't become something that's scrutinizing or punishable, but something that's more creating the accessibility, because when you come onto council and you have a work schedule and then schedules are changed and then you make best efforts to change that, and then you are managing your life commitments and you are trying to come in to participate electronically. And I celebrate everyone who does that. It is not easy. It's something that is a service, and that, yeah, I'm very happy that we have an electronic policy that will make it a possibility for everyone to participate and for more people to run in the next election.
Clerk wants to jump in here first, though, please. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Through you, Mayor Milne, I just want to make a comment. I don't know if this is going to pass yet, so I haven't, started any review, but I certainly wouldn't be recommending to get rid of electronic participation. I don't believe that is what the deputy mayor is suggesting either, but I do think there's probably some room that we can even maybe take out some of the more stringent rules, because some of it just doesn't work too. So I think a review is good, but I want to assure everybody or tell everybody, I know for certain I won't be suggesting to get rid of it, but I think it's good to take a look at the policy.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Very good. I'll give the last word to the mover of the motion. Barb?
Thank you. And certainly the intent is not to force everyone to be here in person. As I have said and defended in the past, circumstances change. Life circumstances change, children change schools, work requirements, there are a number of reasons. This is not to propose we put more restrictions on, but to look at whether it's working, and to make sure that the people who may be considering running in the next election can look at this and say, well, there's no way that I can be at a council meeting, drop my child off at school and be at a council meeting at 9 o'clock. But on those days, I can participate virtually, and that may sway them into running in the next election. It may make it more equitable. So this is the reason that I'm bringing this motion forward.
Very good. All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. The next notice of motion is from Councillor Singh Soares, and it is regarding enhancing safe access to local schools. So, Monica, you're going to move this? Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Martin will second that. So, Monica, if you'd like to speak to your notice of motion, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Council, for the opportunity to share this. This motion is pretty simple. I want to first thank CAO Jim Ellis for his comprehensive review, information he has sent to me, and we had a really great conversation. He helped me to better understand a lot of things, and I think it's really important that we have continuous reassessments, especially when previous councils, based on what knowledge they knew at the time, were making decisions with regards to design, plans, and approvals. So I have a lot of respect for the previous councils that went into a new land, essentially, with building. So what this is basically about is it's just about safety, and I guess you could say common sense in a community that has grown significantly over the past decade. Thank you, CAO, for putting this up. This is kind of the area that we're referring to. So when the subdivision and stormwater pond system were originally planned and approved, our population obviously was much smaller, and most of the families who live in the area today were not here when those decisions were made. So a lot of these decisions were made back almost a decade ago. So now the reality is different. We have many young families, caregivers, and school-aged children who must take long walking routes rather, sometimes 30 to 40 minutes each way because the subdivision does not have a direct practical pedestrian connection to the school. And yes, families, they do walk on regular streets and sidewalks and they are maintained. I do see our staff very well going up and down the sidewalks, cleaning everything. So that is not the issue at all. The main issue, and that's why I'm bringing it to staff and to the public, because I've been hearing numerous conversations from many people from different backgrounds and different things are asking me, and I'm putting them to staff, but I thought this would be a great time for review, is that the distance and the indirect routing and the lack of any safe direct pedestrian link due to the stormwater ponds in that whole area is acting as a physical barrier. So we're just a reminder, we're talking about school-aged children. It's not like 10 years and plus, we're little kids walking. So the only natural paths shown in the area are recreational trails, not designated school routes, and residents cannot rely on them for daily winter school travel especially. So as a result, families are forced to take long road detours, even when they have toddlers, strollers, multiple children. The challenge is also being made worse by factors we all know, which is we have very limited childcare and almost no before and after school programs at the moment. So families have to walk during tight work schedules. We do not have local public transit that would answer this, and many residents work shifts that start extremely early or late. This is nothing new to us, I know, just kind of giving the picture. And the school itself has serious congestion issues, so parking is discouraged for safety reasons, which is understandable, but it leaves families with few practical options. So I know that in rural communities, especially, we talk about common sense, and common sense, I believe, would show that if families must take long indirect routes because of a subdivision that has no direct pedestrian link, if the community has grown far beyond what was envisioned in the original planning, and if parents have limited childcare and transportation options, then it is reasonable and responsible to just take a look at the situation again. So this motion, I want to make clear, does not undo past approvals. It does not assign any fault, and it does not commit to any construction. Simply, the hope is, and this is where I'm reaching out to council and to staff for advice, guidance, and everything. Just if it's possible to direct staff to work with the Blue Water District School Board to complete a possible hazard review. Ask whether temporary busing is feasible if a hazard is confirmed, and ask staff to explore long-term connectivity options, including possible pedestrian links with funding and partnership opportunities included. So it has been nearly a decade since this subdivision design was reviewed, from my understanding, and the community has changed, the needs have changed, and the lived experience of families have changed. So just reassessing past planning decisions in light of today's realities is not criticism. It is good governance and reasonable, responsible step. So I'm just hopeful, because I'm very happy with the council members that are here from the past councils, making these decisions and seeing things come along, just to give you an update as well as what's happening in the area, and just with healthy and happy families with regards to our strategic plan. I think that doing this assessment would really be helpful to fulfill that part where we want to make sure that parents and residents are having a good mental and physical experience in their daily livelihood. And I will just leave it to council to see if your opinions and your guidance on all of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Monica.
You're welcome.
Any questions, discussion related to the notice of motion? Martin?
Yeah, Monica, you said that 30 minutes to 40 minutes? That and the busing, did you mean that the township should supply busing, or that is part of the Blue Water? Because if they're walking that far, I think that's possibly a trustee thing with the board. And that might be an avenue to go, because I'm sure, does anybody know here the limit of busing? So, oh, thank you. Yes, so would that be a thing to look at?
Yes, Councillor.
Busing from like talking to, it's Wayne Peters now, I think, so.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Shipson. That's a very good point. That's actually an excellent point. I did have a really good conversation with the school board trustee, Wayne Peters, recently. He did also suggest the same thing. That's also giving me an opportunity to share that I do understand it'll be very expensive to put any form of bridge or walkway. There will also be a lot of maintenance that would need to be done by the township if something was to be implemented. So the next obvious step would be possible doing a hazard review. So this is in my research and trying to learn about this. So Wayne Peters, he did mention that possibly approaching the school board and the busing for student, I believe, would be a good idea. And through him as well, he's still gathering his information, speaking to Superintendent and Mr. Lowe, I believe, to see what would be possible. From my understanding also that if something is unreasonable or unsafe, then that could help to trigger a hazard review. And if a hazard is indeed confirmed, then busing could be possible. That's the quickest, most temporary but good solution. And that's pretty much what the residents are saying. Can we at least get busing if we can't get this route? And I completely agree with Mr. Ellis and about how there is a cost that would be involved in lots of studies. There's environmental studies that would need to be done. So for temporary, yes, possibly if the township could help to do a letter. It's so funny that we're talking about so many advocacy letters today for different items, but this possibly could be one of them. And it could help, the school board trustee to support him if he were to also bring that forward to get a hazard review. Did I answer? Or is that, I gave you lots of information?
Thank you. Any other questions, discussion? Barb?
Thank you. I'm not sure, the cart before the horse or, with the chicken and the egg, if it's the school board's responsibility to ensure safe access. They've done a remarkable job of improving the parking and traffic flow of both the schools over the summer. So that has increased. And I do note from this overview, the road for Hagen has been extended to Rose Lane, at least. But it's that stretch over the environmentally sensitive area, and Grand River Conservation Authority has already held up the redevelopment of the Rose Lane development because of environmentally sensitive area. I'm just wondering if it's the Blue Water District School Board that should be approaching the township, as opposed to the township, leading this charge, because it's a busing issue. I don't know if they calculate the 1.6 kilometer distance as the crow flies, or if it's, if you're on one side of Rose Lane and you got to walk all the way up to Victoria and then back across to Yonge Street and then back down, is that 1.6 kilometers? I certainly don't know. And I'm just not sure who. I think to Councillor Singh Soor's question about an advocacy letter to the Blue Water District School Board to, look at these options or look at the busing for this new community. It is a Blue Water District School Board lane, and, we have a lane and they have a lane, and we've been told many times to stay in our lane. Have the parents actually sent formal letters to the school board, to our school board trustee, to be accommodated, in these circumstances? And I think that's the first step. So I'm questioning whether or not it's our job to initiate the hazard review, or if it's the school board.
Do you know the answer to that? Go ahead.
I'm not sure if I know the exact answer, and I thank you, Deputy Mayor, for that. And I agree, it's really important to make sure we stay in our plate kind of thing. But just wondering, this not necessarily for us to lead the charge, but just perhaps the staff to maybe work with the Blue Water District School Board, or just kind of initiate something, because I do believe that there have been parents that have been bringing it up and talking about it. They were going to possibly do some other things. I just said, okay, just let's bring the motion and see what can come from that, and then from there to go forward. But I know that the school board trustee is more than happy to talk to the parents about it. But it wasn't necessarily for us to ask for the hazard review, but to see if the town can bring these the advocacy is part of what we do as a council for our residents. So this would be one of those avenues that I think is well within our lane to just ask and see if that could be reached out from the staff to Blue Water.
So,
Oh, sorry,
oh,
Barbara, I'm
yep.
gonna go to Jason first. Jason?
Well, I was just, I agree with Barb points, but on the other hand, like when you do look at it, if it's just a letter asking them to look into it, I have no problem with that. I mean, I don't think we can tell them to go do this study or whatever, but to look into it, I have no problem with just a letter because it does look like maybe a problem.
Barb? Oh, Jim, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, so I'm sitting here again thinking about the situation. And when you say a safe access route, you know, to me in an urban center, that would mean being on sidewalks. So that would increase not taking that shortcut between Rose Lane where the sidewalk ends and the existing gravel Hagen to Young Street, because there's no sidewalk on that section. So that means that you would stay on, come down, say out of Elm on Victoria, go down Young Street to the school. So, you know, that could add up in that neighborhood. I'm not sure. But to me, when you say that, that would mean the safe route because it's a sidewalked area. So my also question that came to mind now with listening to the discussion was, well, these kids that are in that area right now that go to High Point, it must be much further to go to High Point. So are they getting bused to High Point? Is there a distinction that if you're going to Proton, you don't get bused, but if you go to High Point, you do get bused? And I don't know that answer, but like I kind of agree that we could send a letter just inquiring, saying there's concerns within the community, and to the trustee and the school board, but I don't think it's our place that we say to the bus company, you got to do that, because that's not that wouldn't be our directive in our place to be able to do that, I don't believe.
Thanks, Jim. Boy, I got lots of hands now. Jason, go ahead.
Well, just a quick one, like, I'm looking at that, and maybe it's to Ken with the planning, like, is that something, does the planners, when they're planning that new subdivision out there, do they look into that with the bus companies, or is that, it's just something going forward? But I guess they probably do. I don't know who that's for. But
Generally, any subdivision, they have to consult with the school board,
yeah, that's what I figured.
primarily for numbers, if nothing else, but I'm sure they look at other things as well. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Ken, or?
Well, just through your worship, just going through the official plan, there's policies within our OP that speak to the design of new communities and making sure that we're not getting a lot of cul-de-sacs. We're creating these sort of linear connections and blocks, but beyond that, I don't think you're right, your worship. We would circulate the county is responsible for plans of subdivision. They would circulate them to the school board.
Yeah.
So, and actually the policies we have are kind of picking up out of the county official plan, as they have very similar policies as well for urban areas.
Barb.
Thank you. And, you know, I'm reading the notice of motion and I'm not unsympathetic, and I do understand the distance, because I believe several years ago, we talked to the developer about this very issue and whether or not there'd be an opportunity to provide a footpath across that area. And I think we got shot down by the Grand River Conservation Authority, but the resolution as it stands directs staff to work with the Blue Water District School Board, directs staff to investigate the feasibility of providing temporary busing for students at whose expense, and for staff to explore long-term pedestrian connectivity, which I believe we are doing. I know Kevin Green actively looks at connectivity and the trail master plan. And I'm certainly supportive of sending a letter to the Blue Water District School Board expressing that, you know, the disadvantage of living or having to go around our environmental, as again, with the rural lens, right? We build all these houses, but, you know, and we're mandated to put in certain density, but, you know, they don't factor in that we have a specific and unique environmental landscape. So I can't support staff leading the charge, but I can support a letter asking the Blue Water District School Board and specifically the school board trustee to lead that charge.
Monica?
Chair, I agree with Deputy Mayor, and I'm very happy that or the way that she kind of put it together, because from the time that I had the motion going and all these conversations, and then speaking to important people like the CAO and the school board trustee and First Transportation. So leading up to this is kind of, well, I'm really happy that the deputy mayor kind of deduced that all out. So I'm not sure at this point if it would be possible to make, if a deputy mayor would like to do an amendment to the motion, or how that could work, that's essentially what would be what I would agree to as well, based on all the conversations and everything I've gathered up until this minute. So-
Okay, well, I see the clerk is feverishly working away on some wordsmithing. Go ahead.
I certainly don't want to hijack your motion, but since this was written before you know all the information that came up, the first three clauses are certainly you know, we definitely need to review always the short and long-term solutions. But if we were to strike all of that clauses and just say, now therefore be it resolved that the township send a letter to the Blue Water District School Board and school board trustee that there are concerns with regard to the busing and safe access of the young children to Dundalk Proton School, and that we would be open to discussions. If that something along those lines, Madam Clerk?
Maybe Madam Clerk, you could read what you have there. Oh, Martin, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Before Lindsay reads it, with that, just if the township sends that letter, could we as individual counselors also send letters? Or I don't think that'd be,
Absolutely,
yeah, okay.
absolutely.
Because Monica, you know the people that have been talking to you. So if you get them to write letters in a group, always as a group is better than individuals, because they'll probably just get filed somewhere. But if in conjunction with all that and getting rid of all these, these and all that, then it might be a better chance to get something going.
Just a clarification
Sure.
to Councillor Shipston. So if I were to ask them to do that, get them to send it to all council? That?
No, send it to the trustee.
Trustee, oh, got it, okay,
And if there's a group, then they all sign it.
okay.
And then Wayne, Mr. Peters sees, okay, this is a concerned citizen, instead of just this, that, and other. And
Okay.
come up with a proper letter where nobody goes into a tirade.
Madam Clerk?
Point of order. You
Sorry.
haven't got your microphone
I know.
on. And
I
so
apologize.
everyone else can hear you.
No, I was just saying that it'd be good to send a letter to Mr. Peters as a group of concerned parents.
Yep.
So,
Madam
Yeah,
Clerk, do you
I
have,
apologize.
do you have some verbiage there?
So it would be, let me just.
No, therefore be it resolved.
Yeah, that council directs staff to send a letter to Southgate School Board trustee to be forwarded to the Blue Water District School Board for further discussion and consideration. I don't know if that's too vague or.
No, I think you've,
it'll
the
Send the rest with it.
three whereases lays out the
Yeah,
concerns.
exactly.
So I think that would be fine. Barb?
The one thing that it doesn't lay out in the whereas clauses, it talks about safety. We have provided safe sidewalks and safe access. It's the distance that the children are traveling. And nowhere in the whereas clauses does it it does in your comments, but that message might not come through. But perhaps in the letter, it could speak to that it's not just about the safe access, because we are addressing that through sidewalks. It's the distance that they have to travel around the stormwater management ponds, around the environmentally sensitive areas, because we're not able to provide those sidewalks through those areas. The stormwater management ponds have been built to a specific standard. And they have wide sidewalks. I think the most of it is the distance that these children, and because there's great distance and great time, people take shortcuts that they may not or should not take. So if we can ensure that the message to the school board is more about the distance the children are traveling, the young children, because it's kindergarten to grade 2. They got short legs.
Okay. We ready, Madam Clerk?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're moving that amendment? Is there a seconder for that amendment? Martin will second. On the amendment, all those in favor? Carried. Now we're back to the original motion as amended. Any further discussion?
Just one
Go ahead.
comment, and if we could get recorded vote, 'cause I think
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
just thank you again, Deputy Mayor, for mentioning the distance part. I've come to find out also that, one of the residents were in good faith trying to help because they're all working together and carpooling and all this stuff, but it's not sustainable because they need to get all these booster seats in and out. So they have like 5 booster seats going back and forth. If anyone's moved a booster seat, it is crazy hard sometimes the way it's buckled in. But they started taking more children than they should have, and they got a call from the OPP. So that, I mean, in good faith, trying to do good things and being short distance from the house and driving wise, that's where I was like, oh, this is an issue. And then, yeah, we have like older people, like grandparents trying to walk, and of course, like the rural area, adverse weather conditions at times, winter and all that stuff, best efforts from staff to keep things going and clean and safe. That's also factored into, I think, the long walks. So thank you so much. Just wanted to add that. And if no one else has any other comments, we get recorded.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Any further questions? Call the question. All those in favor?
Recorded votes.
Oh, sorry, my apologies. That's right. Madam Clerk, you take the poll, please.
Yeah, so recorded vote, this will be the main motion as amended. Counselor Rice,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Delbreen,
Yes.
Counselor Shipston,
Yes.
Mayor Milne,
In favor.
Counselor Singsource,
Yes.
Counselor Ferguson,
Yes.
Counselor John,
Yes.
by a vote of 7-0, that's carried.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and thank you for the discussion. Moving on to the consent agenda, we have a number of items there for consideration. Does anybody require any of those to be removed for further discussion? Martin,
11.1 rec.
okay. Anyone else? So the motion will be it resolved that council receive the consent agenda dated November 19th, 2025. Save and accept item 11.1 for information. Someone care to move that? Barb, second by Jason. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, Martin, 11.1, do you wish to move that for, or receive that for information? Is that with discussion or?
Discussion, because I saw Kevin up on the screen there, so
okay.
it might be.
All right,
Up
so
to
the
vote.
motion is to receive it. Is there a seconder for that motion? Barb will second that. Martin, go ahead, please.
Yeah, Ken, the report, again, always a great report. The department's doing great. With the septic tanks being installed in Swinton Park, Holstein, and then it says Swinton Park entrance windows replaced. And then on page 2, you're talking about Swinton Park specific. Many ideas, good ideas were sent at the community group meeting. They've increased their events. Things are happening. The next progression is increasing revenues. With everything going on there, is this building still on surplus, or is it on the resting period for now?
Kevin?
That depends with, or good day, council. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I would say that's up to council. We're going to have to invest some money in it in the future, but Swinton Park people are certainly trying to do their best to use the facility and create a need. And as we go forward, yes, we're still going to have some infrastructure requirements to keep the building going, but they are certainly trying their best.
And I would just note, Martin, and to the rest of council, I've spoke to a few people. The council, through Kevin and the rec department, were challenged the people in Swinton Park to make better use of the facility. And to their credit, they have done a tremendous job. They've put a lot of effort into trying new programs. They've got more people out. And that's all that we had asked, was the facility be used more. And in fact, that's what's happening. So kudos to them. And we look forward to more of that in the future. Did you have something else that you're good? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. And thank you, Kevin. The Swinton Park entrance windows have been replaced. I think if it was destined for demolition or sale, we might not have put any investment into the building. So thank you for that. And I did want to note that they, I don't know how successful, how many people attended, but they resurrected the community favorite Halloween party.
Yep.
So out in rural Ontario, if anyone understands the vast difference between driveways, children are driven to grandparents and, you know, certain houses. And there's an expectation that those children come every year, and we get to see them grow through their various costumes. And then they go to the Swinton Park Hall for a Halloween party, and it's decorated, and there's, you know, slime that they have to, and apple bobbing, and I don't know what they did this year, but they brought it back, and it has been many years since that was held. So, you know, if you can get the children back into the hall, it breathes new life. So we did not move. I don't believe we moved the resolution to declare it surplus. So, you know, kudos, as you said, kudos to the community for rising to the challenge, and I'll look forward to hearing more good things about it.
Okay, any other discussion on that one? Not seeing any. I'll call the question. All those in
Yeah.
favor?
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry, Joan. Go ahead, Joan. My apologies.
No, sorry. I was just going to say that the Swinton Park, they have the chair yoga, and it runs for 7 weeks, and it's every Monday from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. I actually dropped somebody there last Monday. I didn't stay, but yes.
You didn't stay and do the chair yoga?
No, I was rushing.
I see, I see.
Next
Okay,
Monday I'm going.
Next Monday, right, okay. I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. What's chair yoga? I'm to ask that question of, I have no idea, although I'm sure it involves chairs and yoga. That's as far as I'm gonna go. Go next Monday and find out, Jason. There you go.
Karaoke. I thought it was karaoke. I didn't know what it was.
Karaoke. Maybe that's a new one. There you go. There you go. Excellent, excellent. All right, general announcements before we get too far off the road here. Anybody have anything for general announcements? Barb, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I made sure that I wrote them down. I just wanted to congratulate I think there's 9 on this list, community organizations that came together to put on a seniors dinner. The dinner was a long-standing tradition, with the last one, I think, held in 2018. So it was nice to see it come back. As I said, it was a collaboration of many community groups that we spoke about earlier, the Legion, the Dance Association, Team Town Hall, JCI, Lions and Lioness, Agricultural Society, the Township of Southgate, Foodland, and Grey County Truck Training. And they put on a free roast beef dinner for seniors. There was fiddling, like the actual fiddling, music. It was really an outstanding gathering. So don't laugh. That's why I clarified it was the actual.
Is there another kind?
No, they're laughing over there. So. Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to congratulate the Dundalk Wesleyan Church on their 100th anniversary. It certainly stands out as a celebration of the outreach that they have done in the community over their 10 decades, and continue to do beyond their sanctuary. So congratulations.
Absolutely. Thank you. Any others? Joan, go ahead, please.
Oh. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Today is International Men's Day, and I want to say to all the men who make this world a beautiful place to live, happy International Men's Day to all of you here and to all the men everywhere. Just to make sure that I want to let you know that I love you all. So yes, and JC, I've already celebrated International Men's Day on Sunday, and they say what you do at the arena, stay in the arena, but we do have somebody who can move like Jagger. That's it, nothing more. But International Men's Day was great. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. I appreciate you not filming what needed to be filmed. It didn't need to be filmed. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, thank you. Monica,
Yes,
go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I wish I saw that, whatever that was. But I just wanted to echo the comments already and just congratulations again to the Dundalk Westland Church. As Deputy Mayor said, the 10 decades that they've been here is really great to see the legacy. And they had amazing food, and Councillor Shipston and I were just talking about the amazing food that I think you said Carolyn Dyer had helped to organize. So it was great shepherd's pie and so much great volunteers and all of that. And the Peace Committee lunch was great. I think our Mayor Milne spoke on the panel there as well, and it was about Canadian patriotism. So that was very well done. And I think also Councillor John is on that committee, if I'm not mistaken, to help it to come to pass. So great things happening. I don't remember half the things that are I've attended and been to, but those really stand out. And it was really great to see a community together.
Thank you. Thank you, Monica. Joan, did you want to comment on the Peace Committee event or?
Mr. Mayor, since you're on the panel, I think maybe you should comment on it. Yeah.
No. It was.
I know I spoke, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a well done event. We were asked to, the panelists were, there was the warden, Andrea Matrosovs, Mayor McQueen from Grey Highlands, myself from Southgate, and Daryl Menifee. He's a resident of Grey Highlands as well. Him and his wife are residents of Grey Highlands. And we were asked to speak on our perspectives on the creativity of patriotism in Canada in the future. And so it was interesting to hear the perspectives of all four or all three. Mine wasn't that interesting, I'm sure, but the other three were very interesting as to what they thought what patriotism in Canada would look like into the future. So I'll leave it at that unless anybody has anything else. Okay. So we have 5 bylaws there to be dealing with. Martin is going to.
Yeah, I'm pulling that one so I can vote.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you pull it. Somebody's got to pull it.
Barb will pull 13.1. So the motion reads, be it resolved that the following bylaws dated today, save and accept item 13.1 be read at first, second, third, finally passed, signed by the mayor and the clerk, sealed to seal the corporation and entered into the bylaw book. Jim's going to move that. Monica will second. All those in favor? That is carried. We're now deal with bylaw item 13.1, which is the Love Shirk Drainage Works.
Yep, I'll recuse myself.
Martin will recuse himself. Will someone move that we receive that? Barb will move. Jim will second. Any discussion? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Martin is now coming back. And so we have a closed meeting session. Be it resolved that council proceed into closed session at, I think it is 3:30. In order to address matters relating to personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically an HR matter, and personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically the CAO's review, and that all those required remain in attendance. Someone care to move that, please? Monica will move. Joan will second. All those in favor? That is carried. So we'll now move into the closed meeting conference room. I don't know what I did with my agenda, but I guess it's still in the room. But anyway, can I just borrow that for a second? We're ready to roll there, Miss Holly? Very good. Thank you. So we're back in open session. I can confirm as chair that we only discussed that items that were listed on the in-camera agenda. Confirming bylaw. Jim wants to move that. Martin seconds. All those in favor? That's carried. Who wants to adjourn? Monica and Jason, all those in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.